This is the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you stories from the peak to peak, in print, and online. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area. Happy Friday, everyone. Today, we're dipping into the archives and returning to one of our most popular episodes ever, How Hippies Rode an Asteroid into Boulder. I had a ton of fun producing this with Marianne Rosen earlier this year, so if you didn't catch it the first time, you're in for a treat. Before we turn back the clock, here's a quick word from today's sponsor, the Regional Air Quality Council. This summer, don't go it alone. Take simple steps for better air. Carpool or take transit where you need to go. Relax on the bus downtown for your commute, or catch the Bustang around the entire state. Road trips and errands are also more fun with company, and carpooling saves on gas too. Know when it matters most by signing up for ozone alerts from the Regional Air Quality Council. Learn more at simplestepsbetterair.org. Now, let's get to the show. Keep Boulder weird. Those words are often uttered by locals to playfully push back on the growth and techification that has transformed the longtime counterculture hotspot over the past few decades. But it wasn't always like this. Before the days when Boulder, Nederland, and Ward were considered a safe haven for beat poets, rock stars, and acid heads, there wasn't a whole lot of love for the weird. Then the 1960s happened. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast. I'm Tyler Hickman. Today, Marianne Rosen takes us on a long, strange trip through the migration of hippies to the area and how the art, drugs, and attitudes they brought with them changed this place for good. Marianne tells us how a near-Earth asteroid, roughly 3 million miles away, drove a flock of hippies to Boulder and its western mountain towns in the 60s. The hippies never left, and their psychedelic vibes changed the area for good, turning it into the weird and wild place we love today. Here's Marianne.
1967, the summer of love. It is estimated that between 75 and 100,000 young people descended on San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury neighborhood.
The aggressive determination of hippies to start a new society has made its mark upon San Francisco's Haight-Ashbury. Part of the neighborhood is occupied by ordinary people, bewildered by what's going on. Part of it is occupied by a growing population of hippies. There are many other similar houses or apartments at Haight-Ashbury, maintained by hippies who work in places where employers do not mind bizarre dress or long hair. Their concept of a new style of life unites them, and that concept is, in most cases, drawn from the drug experience.
Most were seeking a new way of life. Peace, love, freedom, new social ideas, a spurning of materialism, and a renunciation of the Vietnam War. This movement and its migration to San Francisco, with its new fashion, music, art, and psychedelic rock and drugs, was called the hippie movement. This drive began a cultural shift, inspiring more forward-thinking ideas about gender equality, civil rights, and environmentalism. The hippies wanted to change the world and challenge the status quo, and they did. Their heritage continues on today. But what does this have to do with the peak to peak? Nederland and Ward were both mining towns during the Colorado Gold Rush. The towns grew alongside the mining industry. Growth ceased as mining dissipated. When that petered out, Nederland found itself in the position of having to remake itself. In the late 1960s and early 1970s, the two worlds collided. Colorado was already enmeshed in the 1950s literary beat movement. Leaders of the movement like Allen Ginsberg, Jack Kerouac, Neal Cassady, and Ken Kesey all had connections to the Boulder, Denver area. The Beat generation was opposed to the traditional literary norms: war, economic materialism, sexual repression, and conformity. They championed a bohemian lifestyle and were open to the exploration of Eastern religions such as Buddhism and to multiculturalism. In Boulder, Tibetan Buddhist teacher Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche founded Naropa University, attracting many thinkers and artists, including composer Philip Glass and Allen Ginsberg, a known beat poet. Allen Ginsberg was the co-founder of the Jack Kerouac School of Disembodied Poetics at Naropa. Boulder was a hub for beat poetry. The Naropa University Library was later named for Ginsberg. Kerouac lived in Lakewood, Colorado, while writing On the Road, a novel about cross-country travels in order to find freedom and self-discovery.
All the stories I wrote were true because I believed in what I saw. I was traveling west one time at the junction of the state line of Colorado, its arid western one, and the state line of poor Utah. I saw in the clouds, huge and massed above the fiery golden desert of Evenfall, the great image of God with forefinger pointed straight at me.
Denver was a primary destination and setting for the book. Both Allen Ginsberg and Jack Kerouac were friends with Neal Cassady, a car thief turned writer and a central figure in the beat movement. Cassady, along with friends including Ken Kesey, became known as the Merry Pranksters. The Merry Pranksters were a counterculture group who traveled the country in a brightly painted bus named Further. They lived communally, encouraged LSD use, and influenced the coming hippie movement. Their journey was documented in Tom Wolfe's book, The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. Cassady was also known to have mentored the Grateful Dead. Cassady appears in Ginsberg's poems and was also the inspiration for the character Dean Moriarty in Jack Kerouac's On the Road. Ken Kesey was born and spent many of his childhood years in Colorado before moving to Oregon. It is no wonder, then, that Boulder was considered a safe place to escape the asteroid Icarus, which was supposed to hit the planet and end the world in 1968. Only Boulder and Tibet were supposed to survive. Hippies poured into Boulder, and the Daily Camera wrote a story under the headline, "Hippies Waiting for Collision with Icarus." Sylvia Pettum, a historian for the paper, quoted a man named John the Freak, who stated that he and his friends were only praying that California would not slide into the sea. Boulder at the time had a very active political scene. It was a center of anti-war protests and civil rights and activism, especially at UC Boulder. Some, though, in Boulder were not happy about the influx of hippies. They were angry about loud music, drug use, loitering, and vagrancy.
Remember the whole hippie era in Boulder and how that came about, and what was your reaction to what was going on and how the school district and employees reacted to that?
They camped out. I had a friend who lived in the mountains who once led a raid on a hippie camp. The mountains people didn't like them. Mm-hmm. Dropouts, pushouts from school, people who maybe they weren't loved too much at home, so they sought outside companionship. they tried to influence some of the high school kids and take advantage of them, LSD, marijuana. They had a thing called mellow yellow. They took banana pills and ground it up and smoked it and got some sort of a high.
The city was divided between the conservative establishment and the counterculture youth. Many clashes between hippies and police occurred. The arrival of the STP family did not help. This group was an assemblage of boorish street hippies. Most thought that they were burnouts, drunks, scam artists, thieves, and dealers. They saw themselves as mountain men. Whatever they were, the STP family gave hippies, to some, a bad name. Dirty hippie is a myth, as most hippies had great hygiene, but the STP family embraced the dirty hippie stereotype. The gang became well known nationally after a 19-year-old member who went by the name Deputy Dog was shot and killed by a marshal in Netherlands. Along with the peace, love, and music that the hippies brought with them to Boulder, they also brought drugs, mostly marijuana and hallucinogens, that caused clashes between residents, police, and the hippies. Overall, though, Boulder and the surrounding areas were places where one could be free and creative. The natural beauty, vibrant culture, and progressive politics made for a great place to change the world. By 1970, people under 24 made up 55% of all residents. Hippies who came because of the asteroid stayed and told friends about this beautiful area. Hippies also brought a wealth of music. Boulder was home to many talented musicians, including singer-songwriter Tim Buckley and the members of Zephyr, which included a future guitar legend in Tommy Bolin and singer Candy Givens. Zephyr's first album came out in 1969, putting Boulder on the map as a music town.
A volcano of dreams, a life slowly fading, has erupted and flown the night.
Boulder continued to grow into that identity, bringing in big names such as Joe Walsh and Stephen Stills. The Sink, the Fox Theater, the Stage Door, Penny Lane, and the streets themselves provided constant music. At this time, many of the hippies and musicians wanted to leave the city and headed west into the mountains to camp on U.S. Forest Service land. The foothills west of Boulder, with their peace, tranquility, and beauty, were a perfect setting for those wanting an alternative lifestyle. Netherlands became the place to go, and then stay. Most of the traveling hippies settled in town for good. Joe Walsh of the Eagles moved to the area, and singer Dan Fogelberg lived in Netherlands for many years. Other musicians in Netherlands at the time were Richie Furay of Poco and Buffalo Springfield, and the members of the Flying Burrito Brothers. Music venues such as the Pioneer Inn and the Gold Hill Inn were hotbeds of music. The Caribou Ranch opened in 1972, bringing artists such as Elton John, the Beach Boys, Rod Stewart, Joe Walsh, Joni Mitchell, and Chicago, to just name a few. Up the road in Ward, many hippies found the independent vibe of the town to their liking, and some settled there, feeling in this small town of 124 a closeness to the San Francisco hippie scene. Though more stayed in Netherlands as some of the 1,500 living there. Netherlands, where life is better, where there was and is a tolerance for hippies and others, where one was free to pursue their own lifestyles with community support. The hippie culture and its values of peace, love, community, environmentalism, and freedom had a big influence in Nederland and surrounding areas. The vibrant art and music scene has also continued. It paved the way for bands such as Leftover Salmon, Yonder Mountain String Band, and Elephant Revival, all with close ties to the town. Nonconformity has been the standard practice for many in Nederland for years, and art and music was and is still a draw. The town now is a center for local produce. There are no chains or big box stores. Local businesses with names like Mountain People's Grocery Co-op, Nature's Own, Blue Owl, and Blue Moon survive. It is a sacred place that is creative, innovative, and nature-driven. A town who housed a cryogenically frozen body in a hut, elected a cat as mayor, and has a magnificent carousel with all hand-carved wooden animals done by a Vietnam vet who lived in the town. A town where community is still important. Part ski town, part environmental treasure, and all beauty and community. Remnants still of a culture pushed by hippies. What started as a cosmic false alarm resulted in a transformation of an entire area.
These are strange times, these are hard times, these are good times too. There ain't much in my pocket, that ain't nothing new. I've been thinking of moving, maybe changing my point of view. Take a look at the world from my walking shoes.
This is Marianne Rosen. Thank you for listening.
The best they ever knew. Had to love but I lost it, and now time is through.
Thanks, Marianne. It's odd to think of Boulder and Nederland pushing back against the weird revolution, but it's also so fitting that it all started with a space rock. The Nedhead moniker for locals continues to make more and more sense. That's all for today. This episode featured clips from a 1967 CBS News report on Haight-Ashbury, Jack Kerouac's appearance on The Steve Allen Show in 1959, a Boulder Public Library oral history with former Boulder Valley School District employee Robert Rakes, the lead song on Zephyr's 1969 album, Sail On, and that last clip was Leftover Salmon, playing the Boulder Theater in 2012. We'll drop the links to the full videos in the show notes. If you want to spread some peace, love, and happiness, make sure you like, subscribe, and share today's show with a friendly Nedhead or Boulder local. It's the best thing you can do to support the podcast. As always, if you want to get in touch, drop me a line at tyler@themountainear.com. We love hearing from you. This is the Mountaineer Podcast. I'm Tyler Hickman. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Got a ride from the city back to my hometown. Everything seemed different but the same. I can't tell if anything's changed or just the inside of my head. I can't find out tonight. I'll just keep drinking instead. And I hate when people